welcome back to our channel. Nicole had always carried herself with a quiet strength, the kind that came from years of keeping appearances polished while the foundation beneath her life eroded in silence. To the outside world, she was the embodiment of poise, a woman who had everything. Behind the gates of the immaculate community, her name was spoken with reverence. Yet under the marble floors and curated gardens, a storm had been building. The revelation did not arrive with warning. It came instead like a knife slipped under the skin of her carefully built world. Nicole discovered that Ted, the man who had promised her loyalty, had been consumed by another. The betrayal would have been devastating enough had it been any nameless stranger. But it was Leslie. Leslie, the woman who had been welcomed into her home, who had shared laughter at dinners, who had smiled with disarming charm while weaving herself into the fabric of Nicole's trust. Nicole's discovery was not immediate confrontation. It was a slow burn, a meticulous gathering of evidence, each fragment stitching together the tapestry of infidelity. She became an observer of their deception, studying them as though she were preparing for a performance where failure was impossible. The first time she saw Ted's car parked outside Leslie's townhouse late at night, she did not storm in. She waited. She noted the time. The following morning, she studied his face at breakfast, memorizing the subtle shifts in his expression, the guilt that lingered at the corners of his smile. Days bled into weeks. The affair grew bold in its secrecy, careless in its patterns. Nicole became invisible to them, a shadow drifting silently as she watched. Each betrayal carved deeper into her resolve until grief transformed into clarity. She no longer mourned the man she had lost. She began sculpting the revenge that would define her. The gift she prepared for Ted was not one born of rage but of artistry. She wanted him to feel the weight of his choices, to be confronted not by her screams but by a silence so devastating that it would dismantle him from within. Nicole chose to design an ending disguised as devotion. It began with subtle gestures. She returned to cooking his favorite meals, leaving small notes of affection, placing her hand gently on his arm during gatherings. Ted, oblivious to her knowledge, began to relax. The guilt that had shadowed his face melted under the illusion of her forgiveness. Leslie, too, sensed a shift. Her glances at Nicole became cautious, uncertain whether the other woman knew. Nicole fed the uncertainty like oxygen to a flame, smiling warmly at Leslie while her mind rehearsed the final act. Behind closed doors, Nicole curated the gift. A box of mahogany, polished until it gleamed under the light. Inside, layers of velvet concealed objects chosen with precision. Photographs of Ted and Leslie together, receipts from secret dinners, hotel room keys slipped into her hands by silent hotel staff who had recognized her face. Every lie, every betrayal, carefully preserved and placed like artifacts in a museum of deceit. But the box held more than evidence. At the center rested a small vial. The liquid inside was colorless, odorless, acquired through connections Nicole had cultivated in silence. It was not immediate death she sought. It was a slow unraveling, a weakening that mirrored the disintegration of her trust. The night she presented the gift, Nicole orchestrated every detail. A dinner prepared with meticulous care, candles flickering against crystal glasses, music drifting softly in the background. Ted arrived, unsuspecting, his guard lowered by the illusion of reconciliation. Nicole watched him as he opened the box, his hands trembling as the photographs spilled into his lap. His face drained of color as realization struck. There were no words exchanged. Nicole stood at a distance, her eyes locked on his, allowing silence to scream louder than any accusation. Ted reached for explanations, but none would come. He had been cornered not by confrontation but by undeniable evidence. His gaze darted to the vial, confusion and fear mingling as he tried to comprehend its meaning. Nicole did not need to explain. The tension was the explanation. The gift was not simply an end, it was a mirror held up to the choices he had made, a reflection of the destruction he had authored. But revenge rarely concludes in neat lines. Leslie became restless. When Ted failed to meet her as usual, she sought answers. Her unease grew into panic as she sensed the shift in his demeanor. He became paranoid, glancing over his shoulder, drinking cautiously, doubting every word Nicole spoke. Nicole allowed his paranoia to bloom, feeding it with carefully planted seeds of doubt. Leslie confronted Ted in secret, pressing him for the truth. He confessed fragments, unable to hide the unraveling of his composure. Leslie, once confident in her hold over him, now saw only a man breaking under pressure. Her fear turned toward Nicole, whom she underestimated until it was too late. Nicole's next move was not against Ted alone. She extended her reach toward Leslie, crafting moments that eroded her confidence. Anonymous letters appeared on Leslie's doorstep, each containing pieces of the same evidence Ted had seen. Photographs of them together, receipts she thought had been destroyed, all arriving in unmarked envelopes. The walls of Leslie's life began to close in. Isolated and exposed, Leslie attempted to confront Nicole, but the meeting was a performance orchestrated by Nicole herself. She received Leslie with calm grace, denying nothing yet confessing nothing, her silence more damning than accusations. Leslie left shaken, haunted by the realization that she was trapped in a web she could not escape. As weeks passed, Ted's health deteriorated. The vial's contents did their work with agonizing precision. He grew weaker, his strength failing in ways he could not explain. Doctors found nothing conclusive, attributing it to stress, exhaustion, the weight of secrets. Nicole remained at his side, the picture of a devoted partner, her hand resting gently on his as though she were his only source of stability. The community whispered. Rumors spread of Ted's decline, of Nicole's unwavering care, of Leslie's sudden reclusiveness. Behind the polished gates, speculation grew, but no one dared to ask directly. Nicole's mask of grace remained unbroken, her reputation untarnished. The final act arrived on a night heavy with storm clouds. Thunder rolled across the sky as Nicole prepared the room. Candles flickered against the darkness, casting shadows across the walls. Ted lay weakened, unable to resist, his eyes searching hers with desperation. Nicole placed the mahogany box beside him once more, opening it to reveal its contents. This time, she removed the vial. She held it delicately, as though it were sacred, and placed it within his reach. His trembling hand reached out but faltered. Nicole's gaze never wavered. She did not need to speak. The silence between them was the epitaph of their story. By morning, the storm had passed. The house was quiet, its walls holding the weight of secrets that would never be spoken. Ted was gone. The mahogany box remained, its contents preserved as a testament to betrayal and vengeance. Leslie vanished soon after. Whispers suggested she left the community, unable to withstand the suffocating presence of Nicole's shadow. Others claimed they had seen her late at night, standing outside the gates, staring into the darkness as though trapped between escape and return. Nicole remained. Her reputation untarnished, her image intact. Behind her calm exterior, she carried the satisfaction of a woman who had not only survived betrayal but had rewritten its ending on her terms. The gift she had given was not just to Ted, it was to herself, a reclamation of power, a declaration that she would not be the victim of another's choices. And so, life within the gated community resumed. The gardens remained pristine, the gatherings resumed their charm, and Nicole's name continued to be spoken with reverence. Yet beneath the surface, an unspoken truth lingered. She had orchestrated a masterpiece of vengeance, one that left no trace beyond whispers, one that ensured no one would ever dare cross her again. The gates stood tall, guarding secrets that would never see the light of day. Nicole walked with measured steps, her poise unshaken, her story forever etched into the silence of a world that would never truly know her. Please subscribe and ring the bell to follow our channel to always be updated with the shocking and attractive developments of the ongoing movie.